Testimonies of Psychological Abuse Inside the Destiny Cult. I have received the following 3 testimonies from former members of the Destiny Cult who were involved in its early days. 2 of them spent time at the Desteni Farm directly interacting with Bernard Poolman and Susan Spies. If you're considering joining Self-Perfected and purchasing TechnoTutor, these testimonies are relevant to you as well as to former and current members of these groups. Bernard Poolman was the originator of the TechnoTutor project and the mentor of the founders of TechnoTutor in North America, Katie Conklin, Cameron Cope, and Avery Williams. These individuals employ many of the unethical techniques of psychological influence found in Destiny and indoctrinate recruits with the teachings of Bernard Poolman. Testimony of a former Destonian number 1. Introduction. I was a member of the Destiny Cult for 7 years, from 2009 to 2016. During this period, I witnessed and experienced numerous abusive practices and manipulative tactics that deeply affected my life and the lives of others involved. I am sharing my story to expose the dangers of this cult and to warn others who might be drawn into their web. Early involvement. I joined Destiny to seek spiritual and personal growth, as well as to find ways to practically improve the world we share. The community promised a path to self-improvement while simultaneously offering the foundation to contribute to the change you want to see in the world with the starting point in yourself, which aligned with my own ambitions to improve the world. However, from the beginning, there were red flags that I chose to ignore, partly due to the charisma of the leaders and my own insecurities and desire to fit in and belong. First visit to the farm, 2009. In 2009, I spent 3 months at the Desteni Farm. My initial impression was one of unease, but I suppressed these feelings, convincing myself that this was part of the quote-unquote process. Bernard's aggressive behavior was evident early on. He once gathered everyone in the kitchen, yelling about insufficient donations. He approached me directly, threatening to physically harm me if I ever opposed him. This incident instilled a deep fear that lingered for years. Drug use and demonic manipulation. During my time at the farm, Bernard gave young and impressionable members drugs, including MDMA. Under its influence, I saw Bernard as a demon, a vision that solidified my belief that he was indeed possessed. Bernard and Sunette used fear and manipulation to maintain control, often claiming that demons were the good guys who rebelled against the system. Psychological abuse. Bernard's psychological manipulation was relentless. He threatened me with deletion, not only in the afterlife, but also in the physical here and now, claiming that he could delete people in real time and had done so with his children. This bizarre and terrifying concept kept many members, including myself, in a constant state of fear. Sunette, under Bernard's influence, would sometimes disappear into different characters for weeks and months, like a childlike character named Lily, adding to the eerie and unsettling atmosphere. Targeting vulnerable individuals. Destiny preyed on individuals who were insecure or came from broken homes. The cult's recruitment targeted those who were already vulnerable, using their desire to make a positive impact in the world as a tool for manipulation. Bernard's head-shaving ritual was a classic cult tactic aimed at depersonalization and control. Witnessing abuse. Bernard was particularly harsh on members who showed critical thinking. I witnessed him berate and bully several individuals. One member experienced a mental breakdown due to Bernard's relentless abuse, which was met with complete indifference. Another kind and gentle person who I spent a lot of time with at the farm was frequently targeted for his inherited money, with Bernard pressuring him to donate more. One day, Bernard yelled at him so harshly he was left crying and shaking. Isolation and fear. During my first visit, I isolated myself in my room for extended periods to avoid Bernard's wrath and the overall weirdness. Bernard often made the nastiest and most threatening remarks in private, ensuring there were no witnesses. One such instance involved a member who was grilled for hours upon his arrival at the farm, questioned about his willingness to commit murder for a quote-unquote better world. This was a significant red flag for me. Second visit to the farm, 2011. I returned to the farm in 2011, hoping things might have improved, but the abuse continued. Bernard's threats and manipulation persisted, deepening my fear and making it increasingly difficult to leave. I eventually managed to escape, but the psychological scars remained. Aftermath and recovery. Leaving Desteni was a challenging process, but it ultimately led me to a path of healing and self-discovery. Connecting with former members who had also left helped me realize the extent of the manipulation and abuse we had endured. I am grateful to have found strength in my faith and the support of others who had escaped. Conclusion. My time in Desteni was marked by fear, manipulation, and abuse. Bernard Poolman and Susan Spies used made-up, eschatological stories and stories of origin, drugs, and psychological tactics to control and exploit vulnerable individuals. I share my story to warn others about the dangers of this cult and to encourage those still trapped to find the courage to leave. Healing is possible, and there is a supportive community of former members ready to help. Testimony of a former Destonian number 2. I have pondered a long time on whether I should write this, and I chose to because it is the right thing to do and perhaps help some others break free, help them deal with everything that has happened, and step out of fear. Because I know they are looking, and if you read this, you have found it. So yes, I was part of Desteni in my early 20s, looking to make this world a better place, and myself. I was depressed back then, and Desteni made me feel like finally I found a way to make this world into heaven on earth. I saw my own thoughts, the sin we all naturally have inside us as humans, and it made me feel like shit. But they sort of gave a solution to that, which is what drew me in. This is, by the way, not an attack on the members. It is a criticism and direct experience of injustice and abuse, mainly from Bernard. Many of the members truly do think what they do is what is best. Some of those vulnerable people were also emotionally abused. Not all of them seem to realize this and will even blame themselves. Because anything Bernard did was justified, due to his position in it all and his claims of having power over the dimensions, like shutting reincarnation down at will, etc., and being further in the process than us. He was seen as some kind of all-knower, like a god of some sorts who had these powers. So how can anything he say be wrong? No, it must be me, it must be necessary, it must be justified, etc. All was fine until I actually went to the Desteni Farm. From day one, I felt something was off. Bernard I found a frightening man. He was very overbearing, speaking loud and yelling a lot, often being in people's faces as well as saying things that were simply objectively not true, or I didn't think at all nor experienced inside of me. Some had a mental breakdown over it, which he couldn't care less about, it seemed. The guy he did that to was a super sweet guy, came from an abusive background with his dad, and he was called a waste of space, for example, by Bernard. Others were grilled with the most crazy questions for hours, but all of course justified because it was Bernard doing it, so it must have had a good reason. Unquestionable, it was probably to get over a savior complex, or get over an inferiority complex, to try and get stronger, etc. But it did the opposite, in fact. It is not the way to build confidence or even self-knowledge. Knowing this by the impact it had and by what actually got those people and myself to get more confidence. It wasn't that tactic, no. But as you see, everything could be and would be justified in that way, even in our own minds, because you could be like, they needed to be yelled at and threatened to bring about that point of fear, inferiority, etc., and to get over it and become stronger. Anything could be justified that way, and definitely by someone you see as being further in process than you, or knowing more than you, having greater power than you, etc. Sure, you can get stronger through trauma, but it's often just another coping mechanism. And we were all super early in our so-called process, that in no way were any of us equipped to deal with that or even just stop it right away. Like, okay, now that you yelled at me enough, I'm not going to be scared anymore. It doesn't work like that. And I don't think it is an effective way, as literally thousands of kids experience this by abusive parents all over the world. Parents who can switch faces on a whim. One time, they're nice and helpful, but then, when you least expect it, they lash out and suddenly you are the subject of their anger. At one point, they wanted me to write about a point that simply was not part of me. So my page remained blank, because that point was not just anything I dealt with. Like I was looking for what to study, and they said I had this point of wanting to help animals. But that wasn't so. I literally was thinking of what I could do to help humans, as that were the ones directing things on Earth, not animals. But I think they thought that because I was vegan and spoke up for animals. And I still am, by the way. Yet, I did not think it or wanted to find a study with that. It was not a point inside me I was dealing with, so I couldn't even write about it. They did not force me, by the way. The Dimensions said they saw this as a point in me and suggested it. I went on to study sociology and got a master's degree in that, even though my life went an entire different direction and I am now a content creator mainly, but also working on a skincare line and international poster store to get more money so I can effectively change more in this world, as that has not changed about me. And to get over a lot of points, it was necessary for me to experience more of the world, and having kids helped me tremendously in that. Me and some other ex-Desteni members have actually become Christian. But for that, I took a very researched approach as well. I read a lot of books like The Case for Christ, which goes into the proof of the Bible, resurrection, etc. Watched tons of the debates, and looking at this world made me realize how much we need God, not humans trying to play gods. We need to become humble and realize how little we actually do know, how faulty our brains are. I don't want to be guided by men who are so incredibly faulty. After everything, that becomes even more clear, as well as seeing the lines blur everything where people sometimes can't even see right from wrong anymore. If anything makes you perfect yourself or perfect yourself, it's true faith. You inevitably transform, else your faith is just a facade, and it includes works as you truly see your neighbor as yourself. It's a continuous process within humbleness, where no man is taken to be greater than another, but there is incredible stability within that. And I also realized in the past I judged Christianity without actually delving into it, reading, coming from my own judgments and limited understanding. But that's another topic. I brought it up as a point that we are often fooled to believe we are gods, or others are like a god in a sense. I mean, we can definitely be led to believe and be manipulated to think we are gods, but we are not. If we were all truly honest with ourselves, even when given so-called dimensional proof, which I didn't get but just saying, demons also know how to manipulate and have access to information, are also way smarter than we are. And he, Bernard, was sometimes extremely hard on some members, almost demonic if you ask me. Some of them shared things with me and some I witnessed myself. That was just abusive, like threatening one of them that, if they ever tried anything, he would pick them up and slam them on the floor so all their bones broke. Then threatening to delete them when alone in the car with them, etc. As if he is God and can decide any of that. He meant like he had access to the dimensions and could just delete people at will if he wanted. He can't, and he got deleted himself. He's not God and never will be. He can't stop anything about life at will. It was just gaslight central over there. Then when everyone shaved their hair for equality, I didn't understand how this could bring forth equality at all. First of all, even online, no other people besides our Desteni group would even want to do that or understand the point. So, of course, no one outside joined. And then in real life, no one comes up to you to ask why you shaved your head. People assume you have cancer, are lesbian, and don't go up to you to ask, hey, why did you shave your hair? Besides maybe your family who then just think you've lost it. Because why is shaving your hair a symbol for equality? And it's not bringing about anything that would help the group or us in bringing more equality or people to see this. On the contrary, actually. So I did not understand from that point of view why I should just do it because everyone was. That would have been self-dishonesty, in fact. And I would have just done it to fit in with the group and feel good about myself because everyone did it and I fit in. So I couldn't do it for that reason, and I would feel incredibly fake and insincere. It seemed incredibly ineffective for the reason as a symbol of equality. T-shirt would have been better, maybe even caps, lol. But I could understand how it can be valuable to face yourself, your own limitations, self-judgments, vanity, etc. Hence, when the shave to save thing came up, for me this was the perfect opportunity to show myself I can stand for something good or the common good, even over my own self-interest and vanity. So I did it to face that part of myself. I wanted to be genuine, not a faker who is scared to dissent. And I don't regret doing that at all. But then I got attacked. Suddenly Bernard said it was because I wanted to be special and to do it my own way. Which was simply not true and a deliberate lie. Never ever had I thought that or had that intention or desire inside me. This was showing me also they don't know jack shit about me and my internal world and motivations. Then even banning me from the forum for a while they all gossiped this behind my back. This actually caused some members to leave, by the way, some time after, by them seeing how I was treated. And I just saw them following whatever Bernard said, regardless of what I said, because of course they saw him as the leader, the knower. They often wrote on how there were no leaders in Destiny. I did as well, by the way, while clearly there were, because they would all follow along and take their words as more, irregardless of the subject. And in actual physical reality, it also showed that structure. One thing is saying it, the other thing is what is actually happening in the real world. So with the head shaving thing, them blocking me, some former members admitted to me they believed Bernard over my word, and they agreed to the blocking because they wanted to fit in with the group. In fact, out of fear of rejection and desire to belong. So-called self-dishonest motives. Yet suddenly it was allowed and not pointed out. It was deemed a good thing. And then my in fact self-honesty was vilified and judged. So at one point they preached about self-honesty and this and that. But then suddenly self-honesty was not good and self-dishonesty was fine. Because they followed Bernard and his judgment, believing what he said about me, even the 100% untrue, and doing things out of desire to belong. And even now some will still not see this. I don't know if Bernard's intent was this evil, or that he was truly deluded about himself thinking what he was doing was needed, or possessed and used by the spiritual realm. A lot of ex-medium talk about demon forces using this to get power, even cloaking as beings of light or beings that want to do good and help, etc. But I don't agree with him nor the structure that was set up. I don't think it is effective and it does more harm than good. I kept clinging on to them because I thought we were going to change the world and I had grown closer to so many of the people. So I got allowed back on the forum, but things have never been the same, and gradually I distanced myself. And these are just some examples from me, and other members I know, some who were at the farm twice. There is more, but that's for them to tell if they want to. Not everyone dares to. Many of them with a good heart looking truly for ways to better themselves and this world, and then just emotionally abused and thrown into chaos. I'm pretty sure Sinet is or was possessed by demons, which were also the so-called good guys according to them, who seemed to think he was God who could close the dimensions, delete people, do anything at all. Guess what? He can't. I'm glad I was able to stay so calm and stable through all that shit. If you think about it also, while these claims were being made, people were still having near-death experiences, etc. That said completely otherwise. And they have no authority to claim it as more significant than others claim. I truly hope Sunette becomes aware of this, and how she has been manipulated and used, having demons work through her, cloaking as beings of what is good, but being the opposite and manipulative. And I do know the realm is real through personal experience in my teens, which only God could stop, by the way. If you read this, you have the power to set a lot of people free. Don't hide. Watch ex-mediums, channelers, mystics, Wiccans, etc. Their testimonials going from that stuff to Christ. Even if skeptical, even if you resist it. It's never too late to learn. Never too late to forgive and be forgiven. And it doesn't mean doing away with the good parts of it all. I hope this message is going to be able to help people break free from this, because deep down, many knew something was off. But for some, it had become their whole life and world. And I really feel for them. I've met lots of those people, some who lived in my country, and I can truly say they had the best intentions, but in their group bonding they have allowed things that were just not right, and emotionally abusive, even one member towards another, which were treated very unfairly, without empathy, and then it was blamed on them, and I hope they have learned from this. And of course, disclaimer, this is nothing against trying to make the world a better place, etc. Obviously, this is necessary in our world, but that was all spun together with other things more nefarious, into one weird concoction that trapped and blinded some people. And I am sorry for anyone I didn't speak up for, if I saw they were mistreated, for example, on the farm. But I was confused and scared myself. I was never physically threatened, by the way, and could have left by my own will. So it was not like we were held hostages. But there were obvious implications if you strayed from the group, even if it was self-honest. But when the group, and especially Bernard, perceived it to be another way, like my head-shaving story. If anyone needs help, you know where to find me. I don't hate any of you, and I know some of you are snared into things not only through family and bonds, but also money bonds that have been established and are hard to break. Even now still. I want everyone to heal and find true forgiveness and stability, which the rule of men has a hard time providing. Testimony of a former Destonian, number 3. Here is my testimony about Desteni. I stumbled upon Desteni when I decided to not belong to meditation, spiritual groups, due to not finding the answers and not finding a place where people were committing themselves to change the world. I wanted to do change me also. Wanted to make a difference, so I wanted to walk my path alone and also wanted to slow my pace. When I was navigating on YouTube, I saw this video where a boy, I thought was a boy, was talking about the afterlife, and about aliens and about spiritual topics and channeling beings. My first thought was she was crazy, didn't want it to be near channelers anymore. But investigating more about Desteni made me realize they were answering all my doubts, and I resonated with their realizations about angels, about Cryon, etc., and wanted to be part and belong to a community that wanted to change the world and protect the planet, and so I began participating in the forums, sharing my realizations, asking, writing, and applying the tools. And yes, I indeed saw changes with me and my environment when applying the self-forgiveness, but within the dynamics of the group I saw some red flags but didn't want to ask or to confront, mostly due to the feeling of belonging to something I felt was good. My first red flag was seeing people having kind of breakdowns and leaving abruptly from the group, and Bernard and others saying they didn't apply the tools correctly and making them see as like weak and guilty of not committing to the fullest. And I felt uncomfortable with that, but I didn't ask anything, continued sharing and supporting Desteni. I saw more people resisting the material, leaving Desteni or struggling with their mental health, but no one in the group asked them or communicated with them. Didn't seem like they cared. I just saw them recriminating them due to the lack of commitment, lack of not writing on the blogs and sharing their processes. And those people had to be unfriended on Facebook or removed from certain forums until they showed that they were trustworthy. In a way, I understood that because indeed the group had to have people with no doubts or no need to harm others, be different and be an example. But now I realize the coercive behavior in Desteni and how they showed a narcissistic personality and how these behaviors affected others and that wanted to do something relevant and change the world and stand up and help people. When Bernard died, I saw things changing a lot. People seemed to not know how to manage the members and the information, and I saw more aggressiveness within some of the ones that were closer to Bernard and Sunette. They were acting so nasty with new members and began to be nasty with me. I cannot remember a lot, but I had a discussion with Cameron on a Facebook post where I wrote an opinion out of the Desteni information, and he and others like Adrian B. and Anna G. began to attack me saying that I was a snake and to stop bringing up information aside from the Desteni material. It was not my intention to do so. It was just an opinion, nothing to attack them whatsoever. They told me I never committed fully, and the reason that I was not consistent and leaving and returning was because I was not trustworthy. Now I am glad I did that. That made me survive the manipulation. They wanted me to feel not worthy, to feel like trash, and I get so angry and I saw the real nature of the group. I removed all the power they had over me and I left, because indeed I felt guilty and less, comparing myself, etc. And due to them and their ways to make you stop resisting the material and give them all the power. I'm glad I didn't give all my power away, and that I didn't lose the essence of me and I ran away from that coercive environment. Now I realize so many things, like for example the way they had us observed and measured. And that is why they pushed people to write and share everything. They acted like the police wanted to see if we were fully surrendered or devoted. When I shaved my head, I did it because of wanting to belong, to be seen as loyal to them. Thing that I regret a lot, made me feel so insecure and full of doubts and destroyed and exposed also because people around me asked why I did that and I was not fully convinced. I didn't go to the farm, no, but I wanted to in that time, but reading the experience of others, I feel so sad to see they were abused mentally and also physically. And I hope this helps others to realize the lies and deception and that we were also helping them to save the farm and get money without any effort. I knew people donated them a lot of money and Bernard was worried to lose the farm. I am still remembering things and feelings. I am reading information and realizing the ways of the group to be more involved. How this experience affected in a way my mental health because yes, after this I had a mental breakdown due to this and also due to other personal stuff I was going through at that time. I went to therapy and helped me a lot because I went with professionals in that matter and assisted me to be strong and around people that is not wanting to abuse me. Again, I hope this can assist others to feel secure and share more and help others to stop supporting false gurus and coaches. They are a lot on the internet selling the message of a change and beneath that, they are predators taking away your money and your health.